NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Welcome, you're watching Living with COVID. I'm Rishika Barua. This is the show where we are joined by a panel of expert doctors who will answer questions on the coronavirus and help you navigate with this new normal. We have with us on the broadcast today Dr. Pankaj Patel. He's an endocrinologist joining us from Rajkot. We have Dr. Pradeep P. Dalwadi. He's an endocrinologist joining us from Surat. And we have Dr. Saroj Mandal, cardiologist, joining us from Kolkata. Appreciate you, doctors, for taking the time of day and being with us on the show. It's been observed that patients are extremely reluctant to visit clinics and hospitals for the fear of infection. What can one do to address this concern? Dr. Patel, can you explain to our viewers what are the kind of precautions that you're taking to keep your consulting chambers safe?
So in hospital, as a doctor, we also take all the precaution to protect the patient from any infection. And if we talk about specifically what measures we take in the doctor's room, then we sanitize the patient before entering into the doctor's room. If the patient is young, then we don't allow any other relatives apart from the patient to enter into the doctor's room. If a patient is children or very elderly patients who need a accompany, then only we allow the one person only along with the patient. And that is also we ask the relatives to stand in a particular box which is 1 or more than 1 meter away from the patient. We keep the window open in consulting room to prevent to enter a more natural air, and the bare minimum physical examinations which is required, that will be done by the doctors, and ask the patient also to sit 1 meter at least away from the doctor's chair. And rest of the examinations and rest of the blood pressures, oxygen measurement, the pulse measurement, that has been done by the attendings staff, which has been done outside the doctor's chambers. So that's why we can reduce the minimum in-chamber time. So if we do all these things properly, then I think the cross-infection to the patients and doctor, both the things has been prevented.
All right, Dr. Dalwadi, would you like to explain how the screening of patients is being done at the entry and reception areas of clinics and hospitals?
So many people are extremely worried about getting coronavirus infection while coming to the clinic. I understand the risk is obvious and the worry is valid. But let me tell you, we keep several checkpoints to decrease risk of acquiring infection in clinic and hospital premises. Let me give you some example. When patient asks for appointment, on phone we inquire about cough, cold and fever. If the patient is suffering from this kind of symptom, we usually encourage patient to have online consultation rather than coming to the clinic. Now, if patient has come to the clinic with relative, before they enter into premises, we ensure that they must wear a surgical mask. We check their temperature and oxygen saturation with the help of pulse oximeter before they enter into the clinic. We also tell them to sanitize their hand before they enter into the premises. At reception, we maintain social distance between staff and patient. We encourage digital currency as far as possible. Even at the waiting area, we advise to maintain social distance between the patient. By taking this precaution, we ensure that clinic premises should not get contaminated and patients should not acquire infection in the premises.
All right, let me now go across to Dr. Saroj Mandal. Dr. Mandal, as a cardiologist, can you explain the reasons behind higher mortality rates in heart patients? How does COVID-19 affect heart patients?
Thank you very much for having me with you in this program. We know that COVID infection predominantly affects the respiratory system. But the same mechanism, it can affect the human myocardial cell by the same receptor angiotensin converting to and causing directly myocardial injury, myocarditis and heart failure. It also can cause localized coronary thrombosis and myocardial infarction. There are different drugs used in this COVID infection treatment like steroid, hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin can cause adverse effect on that cardiac patient. Like steroid can cause heart failure by causing sodium and water retention. Hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin can cause fetal arrhythmia, particularly who are the patients getting beta blocker therapy or other antiarrhythmic therapy. Also, it is shown in different study that patients in normal without any cardiac disease, case fatality rate with COVID infection is just 1 to 2%, but with a cardiovascular disease like hypertension, diabetes, coronary artery disease, the mortality rate can goes up to 10 to 15%.
Dr. Patel, it's been observed that COVID-19 infects the lungs of a person. For a person with asthma, should the use of steroids be allowed during this pandemic?
So regarding a patient with asthma and on steroids, so first of all, majority of the asthma patients, they are on not on regular treatment of steroids. They are taking steroids as and when required during the attacks only, and majority of steroids are in form of inhalation steroids, so either nebulization or in inhaler steroids. So they are not that much of harmful, and still they are immunocompromised patients, their lung relatively weak, so during this COVID time they need to take care more for their precautions of social distancing and some of the breathing exercise, yoga, meditations, and to take care more in a food part or diet parts to increase the immunity as well. Apart from that, those who are on large dose of steroids or tablet of steroids, they should checking off their sugars as well. Apart from that, there are certain vaccines like influenza vaccines, pneumococcal vaccines that has to be given on a periodic basis. So if they are having an asthma since long and they are immunocompromised patients, so they can ask their doctors regarding the benefits of these vaccines.
With that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but our panel of experts will continue to be live with us on the other side.
Knowledge Partner, USV, your reliable healthcare partner.
Welcome back. You're watching Living with COVID. Dr. Saroj Mandal, if I can come to you, people who have heart attacks should go only for thrombolysis and not angioplasties because of COVID-19. What's your view on this?
Well, I can say that in patient with heart attack, we use two mode of reperfusion therapy. One is thrombolysis and second is primary PCI. Primary PCI or primary angioplasty is always preferred mode of therapy because it always opens the artery completely and gave the better result, immediate result than that thrombolysis. But this COVID scenario, every steps get delayed for thrombolysis, that it takes additional time for COVID screening in the emergency department. From emergency department to transfer that patient to that cath lab, it needs to maintain a green corridor. And again in the cath lab, you need to have all staff to wear that personal protective equipment. So it already get delayed for about 60 to 90 minutes, and in this scenario of delaying primary PCI, the actual benefit we can't get. So it's logical, it's simple and safe to have reperfusion therapy in the mode of thrombolysis. And thrombolysis can relieve that 2/3 of the patient with that coronary block.
Right. Dr. Dalwadi, what should be, some of the tips that you could share with our viewers for managing diabetes at home, especially if you could talk about diet and exercise?
So if you ask me about diet and exercise plays a fundamental role in the management of diabetes mellitus. If you do proper diet and exercise, it will definitely help you to manage your diabetes well. If you see by various guidelines, one of them is by American Diabetic Association. A standard guideline says that every diabetic patient need to have moderate intensity exercise like walking, jogging, running, cycling, swimming at least 30 minutes in a day. I can understand that in this COVID scenario, people are hesitant to go outside and they should not go. In that situation, definitely you can do some form of moderate intensity exercise even at home, like floor exercise, which will also help you to reduce your blood sugar level tremendously. Now, if you ask me about diet, a diabetic patient should have a well-planned, balanced diet. A well-planned, balanced diet will definitely help to manage their diabetes mellitus. If I tell you certain principle, a diabetic patient should not take a large meal at a time. They should have a small frequent meal, maybe 6 to 7 times in a day, and preferably during the daytime, they should not keep a gap of more than 4 hours between two meals. If you follow proper diet and exercise protocol, definitely it will help you to manage your diabetes well in this COVID-19 scenario.
Dr. Patel, would you like to highlight the role of regular monitoring as well as medication in the management of diabetes?
Those patients are having unstable diabetes. We generally advise them to check the sugar every 3 month or 4 month interval. But now we know in COVID time, the mortality or death rate is high in a diabetic patient, so we advise them to check at least once in a month. And for those diabetic patients where the sugars remain on a higher side or fluctuating diabetes, those who are taking in insulin therapy, for them we advise them to check the sugars at home with a glucometer. And according to the sugars level, if the sugars are going high or low, they can self-adjust the insulin doses which has been advised by their doctors. Apart from that, what we have seen in this COVID pandemic time, because of sedentary lifestyles, because of the stress, because of the irregular and overeating at home, we have seen there is an uncontrolled diabetes in many of the patients. So if they notice the sugars remain on a higher side, with a lab monitoring or glucometer monitoring, they can contact their doctors. If they can able to contact them physically, they can visit them physically, they can go. Otherwise, online consultation is also possible to majority of the doctors, and they can adjust their doses of insulin or tablet to control the diabetes better. Many times we have seen that because of this lockdown, some of the drugs are not available to many of the patients. So what they can do is they can purchase the drugs with a similar content, or patient can contact hospital staff or doctors. If the particular brand of the drug is not available, they can purchase the other drugs with a similar content. So the purpose of main thing is not stopping of a treatment at any cost, and they can keep the drug stock or insulin stock for month or more than that to avoid any interruption.
Right. Dr. Saroj Mandal, what are some of the safety measures that you and your team are taking while operating on a COVID positive patient?
Well, in my personal experience, I have done a few hundreds coronary intervention and 40 to 50 pacemaker procedure during last few months of COVID pandemic. I have done around 10 to 12 coronary intervention and pacemaker procedure in COVID positive patient. During transfer of that COVID positive patient from ward to cath lab, the entire passage should be a green corridor. All staffs, including operator, nursing staff, GTA staff, technicians, should wear PPE kit, because this personal protective equipment kit is the only way to prevent infection from the patient to other staffs. And here, most important part, that you have to be very much particular and methodical to use PPE kit, donning and doffing. And after the procedure, to prepare the OT for the next procedure, we have to maintain few extra precautions. We should clean that instrument soaked in 1% hypochlorite solution for more than 30 minutes, then clean in the running water. Then you should keep for the autoclave. That OT table and that trolley should be cleaned with 1% hypochlorite solution.
Dr. Patel, what's the advice that you'd like to share with people who have thyroid disorders? How can they keep themselves safe during COVID-19?
So majority of thyroid patients are generally young patients, so they may not be having a more risk for corona complication or mortality or higher death rate compared to other general population. But still, some of the thyroid patients are having in borderline sugars. Few of them are having in hypertension, obesity, overweight, and other immunocompromised condition. So that group of thyroid patients need to take care more for their regular medications, regular checkup with the doctors. Apart from that, they need to do regular breathing exercises, yoga, medications, and certain changes in the diet which increase their immunity power. So keeping all these things in a mind, if all these things, if thyroid patient do properly, then they can protect themselves from a corona related infection and complication.
All right, Dr. Dalwadi, any special precautions to be taken by women who suffer from PCOS?
If you ask me about COVID-19 and PCOD, there is no direct link between COVID-19 and PCOD. But we all know that once the women are having PCOD, they are more likely to have type 2 diabetes mellitus and they are more likely to have metabolic syndrome. We all know that COVID-19 infection is having severe major manifestation if the people is suffering from certain comorbidity like diabetes, hypertension, kidney disease, heart disease, etc. So our PCO patient who are having metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes mellitus are at higher risk of developing major adverse COVID-19 infection. So I always encourage my PCO patient to maintain a good lifestyle, good exercise and diet to decrease the risk of acquiring severe infections of COVID-19. Okay. Like in this COVID-19 scenario, I have seen that because of this COVID-19 lockdown and subsequently patient have stopped doing outdoor exercise and they have put on a lot of weight. So that is not good. It may increase risk of obesity and subsequently increase risk of major severe manifestations. So I will advise you to maintain a lifestyle modification that is utmost necessary in this period.
Right. Dr. Mandal, symptoms like breathlessness and fatigue are common between COVID-19 patients as well as heart patients. How can a patient distinguish between them?
Breathlessness associated with cardiac disease, usually gradual onset, means slow progression. It comes and goes on over days, weeks or months. It usually associated with that pedal swelling or swelling of the whole body and with engorged neck veins. It usually more with the lying down condition and it hardly ever or never associated with flu-like syndrome, which is associated with COVID infection like fever, chills, cough, acute onset respiratory stress like anosmia, loss of appetite or even diarrhea. But whatever may be the reason of this breathlessness, any breathlessness, sudden onset first time, breathlessness at rest, breathlessness associated with that chest pain or syncope or worsening breathlessness needs admission.
All right. Appreciate you doctors for joining us. Thank you so much for answering all our questions.
Knowledge Partner, USV, your reliable healthcare partner.